Hey everyone, it's Mother's Day weekend and all the amazing moms out there deserve an extra special cake. So let's get started. Now I know that a lot of people are not spending Mother's Day with extended family and friends, so I decided to make a cake that is smaller. So it's in a 6-inch cake pan instead of your normal 8 or 9-inch, and it serves like, this recipe calls for two, it's for two. That's really a big piece of cake. So like 4 people, so 4 or 5 people. And we will slice it in half and I'll make it like a 2-tier cake too. The first thing that we have to do is we have to grease and flour our cake pan. I like to use wax paper. So you measure the bottom of the cake pan with pencil and wax paper, you cut it out. Then we're gonna grease this. We'll put the wax paper in, we'll grease it again, and then dust it with flour. All right, so I've greased it. And I don't know if you can see, not really, but there is a wax paper in the bottom of there. And then you take a little bit of flour, just a tiny little bit. You drizzle it on the bottom. And you just kind of whack it all around to cover the butter. And this will help the cake come out and not be broken later on. And then you just kind of tap this over your sink and get rid of the excess. Now, I decided to do the best of both worlds. It's going to be a chocolate and vanilla cake. So the cake itself will be a nice rich chocolate and the frosting will be a vanilla buttercream. All right, we're gonna start with the dry ingredients. So I first need a half a cup of all-purpose flour. To the flour, we're gonna add half a cup of sugar. And then also a 1/4 cup of cocoa powder. And then a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder and baking soda and a pinch of salt. There we go. And that we're going to whisk it. So in a separate smaller bowl, I'm going to put in the wet ingredients. So it's 1/3 cup of sour cream. Then 3 tablespoons of like a vegetable oil. I used avocado. There we go. It also calls for 3 tablespoons of coffee or hot water. I don't have any coffee made right now, so we're gonna do some hot water. Hot water. And then a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. There we go. And then finally, 1 egg. And we're gonna give that a whisk. All right, I have a little mini whisk for this. I'm probably gonna use a slightly bigger bowl. And I'm going to pour the wet mixture into the dry mixture. And stir that up until it's combined. And I'm going to pour this delicious chocolate mixture into our prepared pan. So once again, I said it's a 6-inch pan. It's not our normal 8 or 9-inch round pan. And this is actually like a higher one too than normal. Usually they're like this big, but I had it, so that's what I'm using. To make it nice and flat, and it's going to go into a 350-degree oven for 24 to 28 minutes. And I also have pulled out the butter for the buttercream because I want to make that while this is baking. Okay, so I'm going to be making a vanilla buttercream, which I'm going to be tinting yellow. Now when you tint buttercream, you need to make sure you add as little as possible. You let it sit for a little bit to see what color it comes out, and then if you need to add more, because I've heard stories where people have made stuff and 24 hours later that cake is changed completely the color. So we're gonna add a little bit. I'm gonna make it yellow, and it should be really pretty. So I want to get it done now while the cake is baking. So it calls for 3/4 of a cup of unsalted butter. And you want to have that butter softened. And we're going to beat that until it's at a medium to low speed, until it's nice and smooth and creamy. Okay, so to the butter that I have creamed like that, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract, and I have 2 tablespoons of milk in here. I'm going to add half of it. We'll see whether or not we need both of them. So I'll add half of that, and then I'm going to start gradually adding in 3 cups of powdered sugar. You don't want to pour this all in at one time, because then it's going to go poof and it'll be like all over your kitchen and everywhere. So I'm going to add in just a little bit, and then on a low speed we'll mix it. Okay, so here we go. That's our buttercream. So this is called Buttercup Yellow. It's by Wilton, and it's like a food safe dye. So you take a toothpick and get a little bit on, and you kind of run it through the frosting. Cover that up, you don't want to knock that over. And we're gonna give it a swirl. Can you see the color changing? I think that's perfect. I'm going to give this a little bit of stir with the spatula, and then we're going to let this sit until we're ready to frost it, so the color develops, and hopefully it's not going to be too bright. I'm used to making slightly bigger batches of frosting, and that may have been too much. Oh well, we'll find out. The other thing I wanted to say about baking a cake is you can use box mix for making your cake, but you should always try to make your frosting homemade. It just tastes amazing, and it's very easy, and it really makes a difference. People really can't always tell the difference between box mix cake and homemade cake, but this will make over the top so much better. Okay, the timer's gone off, and I think it's finally ready. I'm gonna take a toothpick We're gonna stick it in the center, and it comes off with really no crumbs on it. It's done. I'm gonna let it sit here for 10 minutes, and then I'm gonna take it out and put it on that cooling rack and let it cool down completely before you frost. Otherwise, your frosting will melt off. I want to show you how easy it is to take the cake out of the pan. We're just gonna run a knife around the edges. And we're gonna flip it, take it off, and then you're gonna just peel that piece of wax paper right off. And I'm gonna turn this over so it dries, it cools down that way. And we're gonna let this cool. Okay, our cake is all nice and cool. I have it on a plate. I'm gonna do a little bit of trimming to make it flat, and then I'm gonna cut it in half, and then we're going to decorate it. I have a couple ideas for decoration. I'm not sure exactly where I'm going with it yet. I have to see how much icing I have, how much frosting. So I think it's gonna be somewhat of like a sunflower look. But I'm gonna kind of go with the flow, and we'll see. A couple different ideas, and we'll see. So first thing first, I'm gonna slice it up. Okay, so I have a nice big serrated knife, and I'm just going to trim the top a little bit because it should be for decorating nice and flat. And for the most part, it doesn't have much of a dome, so I haven't done this in a while, so we're gonna see how this comes out. Okay. I don't want to cut it in half on this plate. I really don't have a flat plate, which is better on a flat plate, so I'm gonna use a cutting board for now. I'm gonna move the cake onto the cutting board just until I finish cutting it. All right, so find a halfway point and slowly start sawing my way. Now I have a turnstile for decorating cake, so I'm just gonna slowly turn the cake without moving the knife too much. All right. So I'll make sure I've got it all the way through. I believe I have. I'm gonna turn this out, and there we go. So I have a piping bag here, and then I have a number 2A piping tip. It's just a round one. You put that into a glass, and then I'm gonna put my icing, which is still a normal color yellow. It's not neon. I'm glad. I'm gonna put my icing into here. I'm gonna leave a little bit behind because I wanna do a quick crumb coat on this. Okay. You lift it up. Go down, twirl it, twirl it, twirl it. Bring this over, and I'm going to pipe a dam around the outside edge of the first layer, which was really the top. I used the top. I'm gonna use the bottom because it's nice and flat. That will be my top layer. Okay, so I have a dam in here, and because it's special and I love my mom and all moms out there, I'm gonna put some raspberry jam in the center. Okay, I have an offset spatula. I'm going to drop some jam in here and see with the offset spatula how easy it is to spread this. I'm gonna spread the jam. This is what I had in the house from those cookies that I made 2 weeks ago, or a week ago, 2 weeks ago now, I think. You can buy in the baking section of supermarkets, they have a filling, not like pie filling, but like raspberry filling and stuff to put in cakes and tarts and stuff. So you can use that, but this works perfectly too. Okay, so that's done. And then I'm going to take the top of my cake, well now the bottom, and put that on the top and press down. And now that prevents the jam from squishing out. All right, I'm gonna take some of my yellow frosting and put it on top. I'm just gonna spread a nice thin layer. It's called a crumb coat. So after we're done doing this, everything just shifted. It's a little soft cake. When everything is I'm finished with this, I will put it into the fridge and it will harden and set. And it makes it easier without getting any crumbs, to see any crumbs on the outside of the cake after you're done icing. The main thing. So, okay, so I got all the icing on, so I'm just gonna take off the extra. We don't need that much extra. And try to make it nice, as smooth as possible. Okay, so I'm pretty much done with my crumb coat. It's gonna go into the fridge for 10 minutes and we're gonna let it harden. All right, it's been 10 minutes and we're gonna see how many layers of this we can get. I think it's 2 and 3. Yeah, it's gonna be 3. Okay, so I do my 3 dots. Then I take my offset spatula and I go like this. I go 1, 2, and 3. So it makes a little design. I'm gonna do that around the whole entire cake. So once again, and then you just take where that ends. You go 1, 2, 3. Once again, it's not the best plate I'm using right now. It really should be a flat one, but I don't have. So 1, 2, and 3. All right, so that's the side of the cake. And now I'm gonna do the top, a couple of layers in the top. We'll see how much frosting I have left. I now have some chocolate sprinkles, and I'm just gonna sprinkle them in the top, trying not to get on the petals. Of course, I got one on right away, but I can pick that one off. Oops, now we're getting too many. Okay, all right, I'm gonna go pick those. All right, pick them up. I'm just gonna press down with my fingers to try to get them to stay. They're a little loose. Here you have it. It wound up being, so you can get a better shot of that, a sunflower cake. See the design work of the petals, isn't that pretty? So it's a chocolate cake with raspberry filling and a vanilla buttercream with chocolate sprinkles or jimmies or whatever you call them on top. I'm not gonna cut this one open because we're gonna have it later. So I wanna say happy Mother's Day to all the amazing, fantastic, wonderful mothers out there. And I hope that your Mother's Day is a nice, relaxing, calm you day. I'll see you all soon. I hope you try it. Bye.